Exactly how I would get into cybersecurity as a 5+ year veteran. So the first thing I always recommend to the people I work with, my students, you got to pick your role. Reason why is because if you lack clarity, you're not going to get to where you want to go in the most efficient and time-saving manner. So think about it like this, right? If I hop in a car and I start driving and I want to go eat, but I have no idea where and I have no idea what I want to eat, I don't waste time and gas to just driving by restaurants, seeing if it's what I want, seeing if that's really what I want to eat today or not, versus if I got in the car and I was like, you know what, I want steak and this is the restaurant I'm gonna go to, right? I'm gonna get to that steakhouse, be done eating by the time the other guy has decided where he wants to go and sit down. So that's the same principle I apply to cybersecurity, right? If you go and pick your role before you start going after certs, before developing skill sets, all this stuff, you're gonna have a way easier time. You're gonna save money, you're gonna save time, and you're gonna develop the right skill set to get into that role in a quicker time. And so a couple resources you can use to pick your role, which I always give to my clients. The SANS Coolest Careers in Cyber, if you just Google that, it's the first link that pops up. It's a little poster here that goes through 20 of the most in-demand roles in cybersecurity. So yeah, boom, you can see here. But what this is going to do is it's going to give you the role, an explanation about what the role is, why it's important, and then it's going to give you, their recommended certification courses, obviously. But yeah, so this way you can understand what each role does, which one would appeal to you the most. Another one that I really like is the Try Hack Me Careers Quiz. The reason why is it's super quick, and it gives you, I don't know how many different options it has, but it's very good at giving you like a role based on like what you like and what you think are your best skill sets, and it's only 10 questions. Okay, so yeah, definitely go do those look at those, pick a role, and then you're already like 50% ahead of everyone else who hasn't done this. Next step is obviously going to be get your certs, right? So unfortunately, in the world we live in today, in the industry, certifications are still required, right? There's still an HR checkbox. You will get auto-rejected if you don't have the ones that they're requiring. Sometimes they put nice to have. Those aren't required, but if they do say required or would like to have or must have, that's something you got to have. So once you know your role, right, you're going to want to go and find certifications that are going to give you real skills or train you on specific technologies that are used in the field, right? So what I mean by this, two examples here, right? Well, obviously, Sec Plus is always going to be the first one you need to get. Reason why? It's an HR checkbox, nothing else, right? That is the only reason you would get this cert, because if you don't have it, then you just won't have a good time. But for people that have gotten it and it's expired, I don't think it's necessary to re-up that cert at all. Like I've gotten it and I haven't re-upped it. Mine's expired. So from there, the next step I would recommend is, depending on the role you got, all right, this is very key, critical information that I'm saying here. Depends on the role that you have, right? In this video, I'm just gonna do SOC analyst because that's just what I know the best. However, I do know other paths as well. So what I would recommend here is there's two, right? There's Blue Team Level 1 or TCM PSA, Practical SOC Analyst Associate, right? The reason why I recommend one of these two certs, not both, well, you can get both, but it's kind of pricey, is these are going to give you real experience and hands-on with what a SOC analyst is going to be doing day to day. So Blue Team level, they're essentially the same, like in terms of content they cover. However, The blue team level 1's a little more expensive but more recognized. TCM is less expensive. It has a video course that goes with it included. You also get access to like all his courses as well. And you get a free exam retake, right? And the exam, the certification exam, I'm not sure on blue team level 1 because I haven't taken it, but TCM PSAA, it's a practical exam, right? You're doing real tasks and then you're writing like an incident report, and that's how you pass the exam. So super practical, and it's going to give you experience that you need. Once you have those two, I would recommend vendor, like 1 or 2 vendor certs. So Splunk's a big one. Okay, Splunk. Core user. Qualies, which is good. Palo Alto. Fortinet. These are the common vendors I would recommend. Palo Alto is a super big one, and Fortinet as well. Splunk as well. Like, out of all of these, I would recommend any of these. Splunk and Palo Alto have their own SIMs. So honestly, Splunk or Palo Alto would be great. Once you do that, you're pretty much set, and then you want to move to the next step, right? Which is building proof. What do I mean by building proof? You want to, so employers these days, right? Let's just say you're in a perfect world. You got your Sec Plus. You got your Sec Plus. You got your TSM, and then you got the Splunk core, and then you got like a Palo Alto XDR cert, whatever. So you have 4 certs now, right? That's fine and dandy. You have 4 certs, so 4x. What you want to do now is basically show that those certifications that you have are a skill set that you possess and can implement immediately upon being hired, because that is what the industry is shifting towards now, right? They want to know, and they, being hiring managers, recruiters, companies, they want to know if that piece of paper is just that, a piece of paper, or an actual proof of your skill set. So what you want to do here is projects, right? Projects. And there's different ways you can do this. And in my opinion, in this day and age, videos are going to be the #1 way to do this. Why? Because it's going to show how you think, how you solve problems, and how you, as an individual, work through things like on your own, right? And these are key things that employers are looking for, right? Because if you like, let me just put it this way, if you can't record a video of yourself doing an email phishing analysis and then talking about, why it's phishing, why it's malicious, how you found out, what resources you used, like, you just probably shouldn't be getting into cybersecurity. I'm gonna just be real. Think of it like a detective, right? You're literally a detective in cybersecurity. Your job is to investigate, right? A crime has been committed, right? And your job is to go in there, figure out what happened, why it happened, the steps on how everything happened from step 0 to crime committed, right? And then write a report afterwards. So in every single field of cybersecurity is the exact same, right? Some people, like ethical hacking, penetration testing, threat hunting, and these people, they have to become the criminal, right, to understand how to protect against the criminal. But it all roots back to being a detective, right? So if that's, or a problem solver, however you want to put it, if that's not you, then I wouldn't recommend this field. So next step, building a brand. So this one's new in 2025, and I don't see many people recommending this, but I highly recommend it for my students and the people watching this video. And you might be thinking, building a brand, that sounds like, you know, what a guru would do. Drop shipping course, trading course, whatever, right? But think about it this way, right? We're moving into an era where resumes and applying just won't work as well as someone watching a video by accident that the algorithm pushed to them and being like, dang, this guy knows his stuff, let me reach out to him. And boom, you've just generated an interview, and all you did was post one video on social media that generated that. You didn't have to spend hours applying. You didn't have to send 5,000 applications in a day. You didn't have to cold DM recruiters and hiring managers. So building a brand's a new thing that I'm teaching my clients, right? And it's also, you know, if you just watch what I'm doing, that's literally what I'm doing as well. I'm building a public brand that showcases not only my skill set, but my ability to lead others by mentoring them and showing them the skills that I have so they too can do what I do. And so that's why building a brand is going to be extremely important, especially in 2025. And by building a brand, I'll give you a little bit of insight into this, right? There's two key sites, in my opinion. There's LinkedIn and YouTube, right? You don't really need Instagram or TikTok because most of the time employers won't be on there to discover people. However, if you want to do it, I'd highly recommend it. However, YouTube and LinkedIn are going to be your best bet. Why? LinkedIn, obviously, people use that to hire people, find connections, and grow their careers. YouTube, because, again, people go on there to learn stuff, find stuff, stuff like that. And it's long-form content, right? LinkedIn, it's going to be tough to do long-form. You can, but the best strategy that I'm teaching right now is post on YouTube and then make 2 or 3 clips, post it on LinkedIn, and then link your full video there. So that's the sauce. And then the last step is obviously landing the role, right? This is where you're going to be making money, your return on your investment. And the timeline for this whole process varies, right? Depends on how much time you're putting in every week, every day, to studying, how much money you obviously have to start to get your certs, right? So if you have under $1,000, if you have $1,000, you can do this whole entire path and be in a role by the end of this year, right? If you take it seriously, obviously. That's how I would get into cybersecurity in 2025. If you found this valuable, subscribe, leave a like, visit my Instagram. I have some more content there. Also, what I'm doing is I have a community that I'm building. I'm going to drop the link in the description. And what that's going to do is basically be the one-stop shop for people to get into cybersecurity. Guys, take care. Stay tuned for the next one.